side. And India was to do it within 4 months of Pakistan moving it to a non-discriminatory trade status and so on. Now here the larger economy recognized the need for the smaller economy to give advantage of higher tariffs to its products for a little longer time. So you had the period of 4 months for India and 5 years for Pakistan. Somehow that did not move forward. I don't have the time to go into the reasons, but I was very briefly, if I may say so, I was told that there were concerns amongst three sectors: the pharmaceutical sector, the automobile sector, and the agricultural sector. I believed, and I continue to believe, that those concerns were misplaced. In fact, as far as agricultural sector is concerned, I remember reading a very brilliant article written by Dr. Ishrat Hussain. I think it was in the news in December 2012, in which he explained very cogently why open trade with India would not hurt Pakistan's farming sector. But let's leave that aside. The fact is that for various reasons, all those steps could not be taken. While all this was going on, we also took two more important steps which I would need to mention here. One was a liberalized visa regime which was signed in September 2012, when we signed three agreements also on all those three issues which were of concern to the Pakistani exporters: laboratory testing, customs, and grievance redressal. At the same time, we also signed a liberalized visa agreement, which amongst other things provided for a 1-year multiple entry visa for Pakistani businessmen. And I'm sure a very large number of them, it had started, we were giving this visa while I was still in Pakistan, and I'm sure a very large number of businessmen are benefiting from that. Another extremely important step was the opening of a dedicated trade gate at the Atari-Wagah border. Now, it was a matter of satisfaction for me that this happened when I was High Commissioner there, but it was also an emotional moment for me. Emotional for the reason that I had seen this border for the first time as a 13 years old or 12 years old in 1964. When it was a border like any other border, there were restrictions and so on, but trade was taking place. And I did see trucks full of grapes coming from your side, from the Pakistani side, to India at that stage. Then I saw this border going through various, whether it was in 65, 71, then various other restrictions that came about. In any case, trade trickled down to zero. So it was a very emotional moment for me to see that dedicated gate being opened. I was sad later on that its full potential had not been utilized, because trade was still restricted, imports to about 138 items from India. I am glad I saw the minutes, the joint statement issued after the meeting of our two commerce ministers recently, when they have said that now this will function 24 hours and that this would be open to all importable items from India. Because to tell you the truth, many manufacturers and businessmen from North India used to tell me that for us this is a big barrier, because whatever we produce, if we wish to send it to Lahore, we first send it to Mumbai, then to Karachi, then it comes up all the way to Lahore, and this makes our products unviable. But I'm glad that that step is being taken, and this one big event which had taken place on the 13th of April 2012 would now, I hope, produce full results. Having said all that, as I said, I was deeply involved in this process. I was helped not only by Zafar Mahmood and all his colleagues who were then in charge of the Commerce Ministry, by the then government, but also by many friends amongst the Pakistani business community, and some of them are present here today. I am today an outsider. I now am in the Central Information Commission. I speak here in my personal capacity, and as an outsider, when I watch this process, I have a concern. My concern is that we should not get so attached to our journey of discussions and meetings that we forget our destination. Now, discussions and meetings of this nature and various other meetings are extremely important because these are ongoing discussions. But they must lead us somewhere. And what is that destination? I'll come to that a little later. We can continue to discuss a level playing field within quotes forever, I believe. In my long experience with the Foreign Service, I never saw any two trading partners who on a particular day said that they were both satisfied with the playing field in terms of trade between them. These are issues, as a speaker before me was saying, these are issues which come up, which keep on coming up from both sides. So I think we should be mindful of that fact. Market access is again not an issue on which any two trading partners, forget about India and Pakistan, would one day sit down and say, we are both happy and satisfied in every respect about market access available to us in each other's market. These are again issues which keep on coming up and you cannot come to a stage where say all market access issues have been sorted out and from here on it's a happy journey all the way. So what is the destination? The fundamental destination to my mind, the first destination need, and I think this whole concept of a country-specific negative list obviously continues to pose problems. Once that is done, it is my hope that the next step will be reduction of sensitive list by India, which had been committed at that stage. And I believe, and I sincerely believe, and I was told by our Commerce Ministry, and this would be done keeping in account, taking into account the export interests of Pakistan. And I believe this is one area where we can and ought, as a larger economy, to be very flexible, and I'm sure they will be. And then, of course, the process follows on as Pakistan cuts down its own SAFTA sensitive list, etc., etc. There are other areas. There is the question of energy trade. We have had discussions on exports of regasified LNG. We have had discussions on electricity export. We have had this issue of opening of bank branches. There have been proposals on opening more land border points and so on. I'm sure both sides would be willing to look at those issues. But I think we should reach that stage and then carry on from there. In the end, I must say that there is another important aspect which we seem to be ignoring all the time, which is the question of transit trade. I was very encouraged that Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz, which is today the ruling party, was perhaps to my knowledge the only party which mentioned the issue of Pakistan acting as a transit point for trade between India, not only between India and countries to the west of Pakistan, but some other countries also. I believe this is an extremely important aspect which we should not take our eyes off. To my mind, this issue has been seen most of the time in a very, very narrow perspective. The narrow perspective of trade between India and Afghanistan through Pakistan. And as I always told my audiences in Pakistan, Pakistan and India together are placed in a very unique geographic location where together we can act as a bridge between Central Asia, West Asia and beyond on one side, Southeast Asia and beyond on the other side. So it's not a question of a single point transit trade between two countries. It's a much larger issue. And I hope with a government, a party in Pakistan that mentioned this issue in its election manifesto and some discussions which have taken place and the advantages that would accrue to both the sides from this sort of arrangement, we would, in the coming years, continue to focus and take this issue also to some logical conclusion. In the very end, before we move from my food for thought to the sumptuous meal, let me say that although I have this concern which I expressed to you, but I am very encouraged by some recent developments, especially the meeting between our commerce ministers. And I remain hopeful for two reasons. One, because having talked to them on several occasions, I know that the Sharif brothers, both the Prime Minister and the Chief Minister of Punjab, they are keen not only to consolidate Pakistan's trade links with India, but all the trading partners. They are fully conscious. They told me of the contribution that this can make to the well-being of people on both sides. And even more than that, I am hopeful because I know that this matter is in the good hands of the business communities from both sides. And my only hope is, and I'm absolutely sure, that they will not throw away the opportunities that were thrown up by the process launched in April 2012 under the leadership of 2011 under the leadership of Zafar Mahmood, his counterpart Rahul Khullar, and of course the governments from both sides. And they would make sure that process is brought to a logical conclusion so that we have expanded and consolidated trade and economic relations between the two countries. Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention.
We can have 10 minutes of questions, answers, please.
Myself, S.S. Bhakdi, from the Institute of UN and UNESCO Studies. Well, my question is maybe a bit off the line. You have been in Pakistan for, say, a little over 4 years. And during that visit, during that stay and just preceding that, the question of Iran, Pakistan, India gas pipeline was very much in the pipeline. So what precludes these three powers, the trinity of powers, which has not seen the light of the day, despite the fact that best efforts have been made during the last 1 decade or so to realize this long-awaited dream?
I told you in the beginning, I speak here in my personal capacity. So I don't speak on behalf of the government. I don't know what the current status is. But obviously there were difficulties of transit arrangements, transit fee, or even price of gas and so on, which meant that that initiative couldn't move forward in the manner that in which it had been seen earlier.
Can you give the idea of the transit fee, by the way, how much it is?
I don't know. I can't tell you that.
Mr. Sabharwal, now that, as you say, you're an outsider, one can ask this question of you. Trade and economic relations at the end of the day are about people being able to be connected. Not just through the relevant commerce ministries or the relevant big business houses, but actually small businessmen visiting each other. Connectivity between the two countries is simply awful. You may not feel it. As diplomats, you can drive through whenever you want. But for an ordinary citizen, a well-meaning, well-educated, well-intentioned ordinary citizen on either side of the border, it's literally like crossing over to the other side as soon as you step on the border. Phones don't work. If you miss a flight, God help you. If you go through Amritsar to get to Delhi, and for some reason the border closes and you don't make it in time for 3:30, you don't know